Welcome to QuickBites, public speaking tips and techniques you can digest in 5 minutes or less. Here's your host, Peter George.
Do you want to make a point more memorable? Then remember this: repetition has power. In his monumental speech, Dr. Martin Luther King repeated several phrases that are fairly easy to recall, whether we heard his speech from the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in August 1963, or the many times it's been replayed since. But of course, his most famous line is, "I have a dream." Many of us incorrectly believe that "I have a dream" was repeated throughout his speech, but it wasn't. And oddly enough, Dr. King hadn't even intended to include this in his speech. But on that day, he realized that he wasn't getting the reaction he had hoped for. So on the spot, he decided to include part of a speech he had given several times before, including just 2 months earlier in Detroit. Most of us can't bring to mind the majority of Dr. King's speech, but we can recall its intent as well as several repeated phrases, including "I have a dream," "Let freedom ring," and "Free at last." Here's a quiz for you. How many times in that speech did Dr. King say, "I have a dream"? He said it 9 times. How many times did he say, "Let freedom ring"? 8 times. And how many times did he say, "Free at last"? 3 times. You probably did better than I did. I was way off on the first 2 and off by 1 on the third. Depending on your talk, repeating a key word, phrase, or sentence 8 or 9 times might be excessive, yet repeating it 2 or 3 times could make it memorable. Look for places in your talks where you can insert a word, phrase, or sentence that you want your audience to grab onto and take with them. And remember, repetition has power.
Thank you for devouring another episode of QuickBites. Tune in Monday when you'll hear another episode of Public Speaking with Peter George, and again Thursday for your next episode of QuickBites. Until then, remember, when it comes to speaking in public, you've got this.